Welcome to the Department of Distance and Continuing Education, University of Delhi. Master of Business Administration, Semester 1, Core Course MBA FT 6103, Managerial Economics. Lesson 5, Market Structures. 5.1, Learning Objectives. After studying this chapter, you will be able to describe the nature and types of markets and recognize the firms operating under different market structures. Determine the short-run and long-run optimal output and price for firms and industry under different market conditions. Examine the effect of dynamic changes happening in the market. Determine the implications of collusion among firms in the market. 5.2, Market Structures. Market structure is the classification and differentiation of various types of firms based on their level competition, types of goods and services offered, number of buyers and sellers, degree of information available, etc. Market structure basically characterizes the marketplace where buyers and sellers meet and exchange products and services. On one hand, market structure influences sellers' behavior, and on the other, it determines the supply of different goods and services. We can characterize market structures based on the number of buyers and sellers, ability to set the prices, degree of product homogeneity, and the autonomy of entry and exit from the market. Based on above criteria, markets are generally classified as: Number 1, perfect competition. There are unlimited number of sellers selling homogeneous goods at uniform price. The demand curve of a firm is perfectly elastic or parallel to x-axis with freedom to entry and exit from the market. Figure 5.1 classifies the different types of market structures. Market structures can be of three types: perfect competition, imperfect competition, and monopoly. Imperfect competition can further be classified into monopolistic competition, oligopoly, and duopoly. Under imperfect competition, types of market exist such as: Number 1, monopolistic competition. With large number of firms, each having a small market share, selling almost identical goods with slight difference. Each firm can influence the price of their products up to a certain extent. Number 2, monopoly. Only a single seller is operating in the market with strong barriers to entry. The firm can set a price which is more than perfectly competitive market price. Number 3, oligopoly, where few large firms operate in the market. The product offered by them can be homogeneous or not, and they may form a cartel or compete with other firms in the market. Number 4, duopoly. As the name suggests, this type of market is like oligopoly with only two large companies capturing a significant share of market. Number 5, monopsony, is a special type of market with only a single buyer. Number 6, oligopsony, is a market with only few buyers. Table 5.1 demonstrate the different types of market structures. 5.3, perfect competition. It is a type of market with large number of small companies selling identical goods at a uniform price. Firms under perfectly competitive market cannot fix the prices and they are considered as price takers. They are free to either enter or exit from the market, and the consumers have full knowledge about the goods sold in the market. 5.3.1, characteristics. Number 1, large number of producers and buyers. Number 2, no barrier in entry and exit from the market. Number 3, products are homogeneous in nature. Number 4, perfectly elastic demand curve horizontal to x-axis where average revenue is equals to marginal revenue. Number 5, complete information about the product, price, quality and production methods. Number 6, firms are price takers. Number 7. Profit maximization. Firm's aim is to maximize its profits. Number 7. No transaction costs are involved. Number 8. Perfect factor mobility. 5.3.2. Equilibrium of firm and industry under perfect competition. It is important to differentiate between firm and industry before analyzing the two. Lipsey and Crystal have defined firm is the unit that employs factors of production to produce commodities that it sells to other firms, to households or to the government. Industry, on the other hand, is a group of firms that sells identical products. For example, Tata Motors, Mahindra & Mahindra, Toyota, etc. are automobile producing firms, whereas a group of such companies is called the automobile industry. A. Short-run equilibrium of a firm. A firm changes its output in the short run by changing its variable factors of production. No firm can enter or leave the market in the short run. There are two techniques of determining the equilibrium position of a firm. These are: number 1. Marginal cost, marginal revenue approach. A firm under perfect competition is in equilibrium at a point where it produces optimal level of output, giving him maximum profit. The two conditions for achieving equilibrium are: number 1, marginal cost is equals to marginal revenue, and this is the first order and necessary condition. Number 2, marginal cost curve must cut the marginal revenue from below. This is a second order condition. A firm can have 5 possibilities in the short run, which are given below. Possibility number 1, supernormal profits. When the prevailing market price is higher than the short run average cost, a firm earns supernormal profits. Figure 5.2a, the equilibrium point is E1, where short run marginal cost is equals to marginal revenue, and short run marginal cost curve intersects the marginal revenue curve from below. That is, slope of marginal cost is more than the slope of marginal revenue. The optimal level of output is OQ and price is OP. The area as TSE1P is the supernormal profits for the firm. Possibility number 2, normal profits. At the equilibrium point E2, the price equals the short run average cost, giving only normal profits to the firm. That you can see in figure 5.2b. Possibility number 3, minimum loss. When the price is fixed below the short run average cost, a perfectly competitive firm incur losses equal to the area PE3BA as shown in figure 5.2c. Note that the firm will stay in the market as long as it is covering its average variable cost plus some of its fixed cost. Possibility number 4, maximum loss. But when the price falls to a level of average variable cost, as shown in figure 5.2d, the firm becomes indifferent whether to continue production or shut down. At point E4, the firm will just cover its average variable cost. Therefore, point E4 is the shutdown point for the firm. Possibility number 5, shutdown point. In figure 5.2e, shutdown point is depicted where a firm is unable to cover even its average variable cost. Therefore, in the short run, a firm is in equilibrium in all the above explained situations. 2. Total cost, total revenue approach. A firm under perfect competition prefers the point of production where the gap between total cost and total revenue is maximum. This is the point of equilibrium. As you can see in the figure 5.3, short-run equilibrium of the firm under perfect competition as per the total cost, total revenue approach. B. Short-run equilibrium of the industry. A perfectly competitive industry must fulfill two conditions to reach the equilibrium position in short run. These are: condition number 1. Short run average cost must be equal to average revenue, and condition number 2. Short run marginal cost should be equal to marginal revenue for all the firms. This implies that all firms of a perfectly competitive industry must be earning only normal profits. This is totally a coincidence, because we have seen that in short run a firm may earn supernormal profits or incur losses. Even then, there is a possibility of industry to achieve equilibrium when its quantity demanded equals to its quantity supplied at a price which clears the market. Figure 5.4 depicts the equilibrium of a perfectly competitive industry. At point E, the total demand curve D and total supply curve S intersects, giving equilibrium price OP and output OQ. But one can see that at the prevailing market price OP, some firms are earning supernormal profits PE1ST, while some other firms are incurring losses. Here is figure 5.4, short run equilibrium of the industry under perfect competition. C. Long run equilibrium of the firm. In the long run, all costs become variable. This means that the firm can change its production capacity based on the level of demand. There is an absence of fixed cost in the long run. An optimal production point is at the lowest level of long run average cost curve. Each firm in the long run is earning only normal profits, since free entry and exit are allowed for firms from the market. If some firms are getting more than normal profits, new companies will enter the market. Similarly, if some firms are incurring losses, they will leave the industry. Thus, each firm of the industry under perfect competition have to fulfill two conditions to achieve the equilibrium point. Condition number 1. Long run marginal cost, short run marginal cost, average revenue, marginal revenue, price, short run average cost, long run average cost at its lowest point, all must be equal, and this is the first order condition. Condition number 2. Long run marginal cost curve must cut the marginal revenue curve from the below, which is the second order condition. Figure 5.5 is showing both these conditions being satisfied at point E. Hence, the optimal output is OQ and equilibrium price is OP, giving the firm normal profits. Figure 5.5 depicts the long run equilibrium of the firm under perfect competition. D. Long run equilibrium of the industry. The long run equilibrium condition for an industry operating under perfect competition is when long run marginal cost, marginal revenue, average revenue and long run average cost at its minimum level are all equal. At this point, industry's total demand is equal to its total supply, which you can see in figure 5.6. Note that the supply curve of the industry is determined by the horizontal summation of the supply curves of the individual firms. This can be upward sloping, downward sloping or horizontal. On the other hand, the demand curve of the industry is downward sloping. Figure 5.6. Long run equilibrium of the industry under perfect competition. 5.3.3. Price determination under perfect competition. Prices under perfect competition are fixed based on the level of demand and supply. Products sold under perfect competition are homogeneous with perfectly elastic demand curve, which is horizontal to x-axis. This implies that a firm cannot alter the prices and only accept the prevailing market prices, which are fixed by the industry based on interactions of total demand and supply. Hence, the law of one price prevails in this market. 5.3.4 Dynamic changes under perfect competition. This section will help us in examining the impact of dynamic changes happening in real life on the perfect competition model. A shift in the market demand. First of all, we will examine the impact of shift in market demand on a perfectly competitive firm as well as industry. In the figure 5.7, let's assume a rightward shift in the demand curve due to rise in the income of consumers. In the short run, the price will increase from P to P1 and the quantity supplied from Q to Q1, and the firm will start producing more quantity from X to X1. The firm will earn excess profits equal to the area ABCP1 due to rise in market price. In the long run, this excess profit made by existing firms will attract newer firms into the market. This incoming of newer firms will result in a rightward shift in the market supply, causing prices to fall below this short-run equilibrium level P1. The new equilibrium price may either remain above the original level or it may return to the original price P based on the magnitude of the shift in the market supply curve. This shift in the market supply curve also reflects the cost conditions prevailing in the industry, which indicates the change in factor costs as the industry expands. Figure 5.7 demonstrates the impact of shift in the market demand on perfect competition. Let us see three market scenarios where the perfectly competitive industry is a constant cost industry, increasing cost industry and decreasing cost industry. Market condition 1. Constant cost industry. An industry is a constant cost industry if the factor prices remain constant as industry output increases. Figure 5.8 depicts the long-run equilibrium of a constant cost industry. The firm is in long-run equilibrium is at a point where the demand curve price line P is tangent to the long run and the short run average total cost curves at the minimum points. Now we assume that the market demand curve shifts from DD to D1 D1. This will shift the price to P1 in the short run, and the firm will react to this by increasing their output beyond full capacity from OX to OX1. This will shift the market supply curve from SS to S1 S1. This situation leads to excess profits to existing firms and attracts newer firms in the market. Since we have assumed a constant cost industry, that means newer firms will also produce at the same level of long-run average cost. New firms will continue to enter until the resulting supply curve intersects the shifted demand curve at the initial price P. This will result in the long-run industry supply curve parallel to the x-axis. Figure 5.8 depicts the impact of shift in the market demand under constant cost industry. Market condition 2. Increasing cost industry. In an increasing cost industry, the factor prices increase as the market expands. Under an increasing cost industry, the long-run supply curve of the industry is positively sloped. In the figure 5.9, we can see as the market demand shifts from DD to D1 D1, the market price increases, giving excess profits to existing firms. This will attract newer firms in the market, resulting in increasing demand for factors of production. Our assumption of an increasing cost industry will cause an upward shift in the production cost of existing as well as newer firms. Hence, the newer market price will be higher than the original market price, giving an upward sloping long-run supply curve. Figure 5.9 depicts the impact of shift in the market demand under increasing cost industry. Market condition 3. Decreasing cost industry. A decreasing cost industry means the prices of factors of production will go down as the market expands. This gives the industry a negatively sloped long-run supply curve. The situation has been depicted in the figure 5.10, where shift in the market demand DD to D1 attracts newer firms in the market. As the demand for factors of production increases, their price decreases. As a result, the cost of production shifts downward, decreasing the market price. This also results in downward sloping long-run supply curve. Figure 5.10 depicts the impact of shift in the market demand under decreasing cost industry. B. A shift in the costs due to changes in factor prices. The above shifts in the cost curves of the firms depend on whether the change relates to the fixed or the variable factors. First, let us see the effect of an increase in the fixed cost of the firms. 1. An increase in the fixed cost. In figure 5.11, we have assumed that the rent of the factory is increased. This leads to an upward shift in both the average fixed cost and the average total cost curves, leaving the average variable cost and the marginal cost curves remains unaffected. Since the marginal cost curve will remain unchanged, the equilibrium position of the firm will remain at the same position in the short run. This means the market output and the price will remain at the original position of OQ and OP respectively. However, if we assume that the firm was just earning normal profits before the rise in the fixed cost, now it will not be able to cover its average cost and will go out of business in the long run, resulting a leftward shift in the market supply curve in the long run that increases the market prices and decreases the market output due to lesser number of firms in the industry. Figure 5.11 depicts the impact of an increase in the fixed cost under perfect competition. Second, an increase in the variable costs. Now we assume that the labor wages have increased, that shift the average variable cost, average total cost and the marginal cost curves to the left. Since the marginal cost curve is also the supply curve of the firm, the rise in the variable costs will shift the market supply curve to the left at the going market price. Given the market demand curve, the price will rise to P1 due to the shift in the market supply curve in the short run. Figure 5.12 depicts the impact of an increase in the variable cost under perfect competition. C. Effects of imposition of taxes. The dynamic changes also include imposition of various taxes by the government. Here we will see the effect of individual taxes on competitive firms and industry. 1. Imposition of a lump sum tax. The imposition of a lump sum tax affects the firms and industry the same way as in the case of an increase in the fixed cost that we have studied in the previous retake. The imposition of a lump sum tax affects the firms and industry the same way as in the case of an increase in the fixed cost that we have studied in the previous section. Thus, in the short run, it will not affect the marginal cost curve and the firm will continue to produce the same level of output as before. However, if we assume that the firm was earning just normal profits prior to the tax it will now not be able to cover its average total cost at the going market price and will close down in the long run. Thus, the market supply curve will shift leftwards, lowering the output, and there we will be a rise in the market price in the long run. 2. Imposition of a profits tax. It is a tax on net profits of the firm, whose effects are same as lump sum tax. It will reduce the profits of the firm, but the marginal cost curve will remain unaffected in the short run. However, the firm will exit the market if it is not able to cover its average total cost in the long run at the going market price. Thus, the new equilibrium will reach at a higher price and lower output. Third, imposition of specific sales tax. This tax is imposed on per unit of output produced by a firm. This tax affects the variable cost of the firm, shifting the marginal cost curve to the left and reducing the output. Increase in variable cost also shifts the market supply curve to left, which increases the market price. It is to be noted here that by how much will the price rise is dependent on who is going to bear the specific tax. The burden of the tax is in turn depends on the price elasticity of supply. The higher the price elasticity of supply, the higher proportion of the tax borne by the buyers. In contrast, the lesser the price elasticity of supply, the higher proportion of tax borne by the seller. As long as the market supply curve is positively sloped, the burden of tax will fall partly on both buyers and sellers. In the figure 5.13, the demand curve is identical in both the graphs and the pre-tax price P is also the same. But we can see that the supply curve is more elastic in figure 5.13.2 than in figure 5.13.1. Specific tax equals to AB increases the price by delta P in 1 and delta P1 in 2. Delta P is less than delta P1. This clearly shows that the burden of tax that falls on the buyer is greater in section 2, where price elasticity of supply is more. Figure 5.13 depicts the impact of imposition of specific sales tax on perfect competition. 5.4 Monopoly. Under monopoly market, a simple firm retake. Under monopoly market, a single firm represents the whole industry. It captures the entire market and faces no competition. The firm sets the prices for its products. Creation of monopoly power can be due to sole access to resources, government license, intellectual property rights over the product, or high initial setup costs. Under monopoly, the market forces become irrelevant as the consumer lose all their power to negotiate retake. Under monopoly, the market forces become irrelevant as the consumer lose all their power to negotiate and become price takers. Although a pure monopoly is very rare, but few examples that are close to monopoly are local electricity supplier, supplier of uranium and thorium, raw materials for nuclear power plants, etc. 5.4.1 Characteristics. 1. Single firm with not rival or direct competition. 2. Entry of new firms is completely blocked due to technical, legal or economic reasons. 3. Firm decides its price, so they are price makers. 4. Demand curve is downward sloping. Fifth, monopolist can either set its price or the quantity but not both. Sixth, the concept of supply curve is meaningless under monopoly. Seventh, monopolist practices price discrimination to extract maximum profit. Eighth, monopolist can earn supernormal profits even in long run. 5.4.2 Equilibrium under monopoly. Just like perfect competition, there are two approaches through which equilibrium positions can be determined in monopoly. These are number 1, marginal revenue and marginal cost approach, and number 2, total revenue and total cost approach. Let us first talk about marginal revenue and marginal cost approach. There are two conditions that needs to be fulfilled to achieve under monopoly. Condition number 1, marginal revenue should be equals to marginal cost, which is a first order condition. And condition number 2, marginal cost curve must cut marginal revenue from below. This is a second order condition. Point number 1, short run equilibrium. A monopolist in short run cannot change its fixed factors of production like plant and machineries, and can increase its production by increasing variable factors only. In short run, three situations can occur for a monopolist. These are situation number 1, supernormal profits. A monopolist can earn supernormal profits when the price charged is more than the short run average cost. The equilibrium point is at E, where the marginal cost curve cuts the marginal revenue curve from below, giving equilibrium quantity OQ1. At this point, the price charged is AO, which is more than short run average cost, giving supernormal profits equal to the area ABDC. Figure 5.14 depicts supernormal profits of a monopolistic firm. Situation number 2, normal profits. A monopolist will earn only normal profit when the price charged is just equal to the short run average cost. That is, average revenue is equals to short run average cost. In figure 5.15, the equilibrium point is at E, where marginal cost is equals to marginal revenue, and the optimal output is OM and price is OP. Figure 5.15 depicts the normal profits of a monopolistic firm. Situation number 3, minimum losses. When the monopolist fixes the price below the variable cost, it incurs losses. In figure 5.16, the price is fixed at P1, which is equals to short run average variable cost, which means the monopolist is able to cover only the average variable cost. Below this point, the monopolist will discontinue production, called the shutdown point. Figure 5.16 depicts the loss of a monopolistic firm. B, long run equilibrium. The long run equilibrium condition for a monopolist is same as the short run. That is, at point where the long run marginal cost curve cuts the marginal revenue from below. That is, slope of long run marginal cost is more than the slope of marginal revenue. In figure 5.17, the equilibrium point is at E, where the optimal output is OM and the equilibrium price is OP, and the monopolist earns maximum profit equivalent to the area PJ/HP1. Figure 5.17 depicts long run equilibrium under monopoly as per the marginal cost marginal revenue approach. B, total revenue and total cost approach. The equilibrium is reached at a point where the distance between total revenue and total cost is maximum. A monopolist uses trial and error method to fix different prices to find out the optimal level of output that gives maximum profits. In figure 5.18, the equilibrium is achieved at point E. Here the gap AB, that is the gap between total cost and total revenue, is maximum. 5.4.3 Price determination under monopoly. Under monopoly, the price is determined by a single firm. Generally, monopolists use trial and error method to fix the prices, which gives maximum profit. Monopolist also practices price discrimination in order to extract maximum revenue for their products. 5.4.4 Dynamic changes under monopoly. This section explains the effects of dynamic changes happening in real life on the monopolist's equilibrium. We will first start with shift in the market demand under monopoly model. A shift in the market demand. In the previous section, we saw that an upward shift in the market demand curve results in a new market equilibrium with a higher price and a lower output in the short run. This may not be true in the case of a monopoly market. An upward shift in the market demand in the short run will result in a new market equilibrium with larger quantity and price may be higher, lower or constant. In the figure 5.19, first possibility is depicted where the price remains constant while the quantity supplied increases in the new equilibrium position. As the demand curve shifts from D1 to D2, the marginal revenue curve also shifts to MR2. Given the marginal cost curve, the new equilibrium position results in larger quantity supplied from OX1 to OX2 at the same price P. Figure 5.19 depicts impact of shift in the market demand on monopoly. This shift in the demand curve will result in higher revenue as well as higher profits for the monopolist firm. Since the short-run average total cost curve is decreasing over the range between X1 and X2, the profits will be higher for the monopolist in the newer equilibrium position than the initial profits. Figure 5.20 depicts impact of shift in the market demand on monopoly. Now we will see the second possibility, where both the quantity and price increases in the new equilibrium position. In the figure 5.21, the demand curve shifts from D1 to D2, shifting the newer equilibrium position to the right. This shift increases both the price, P is less than P1, as well as quantity supplied, OX1 is less than OX2. Figure 5.21 depicts impact of shift in the market demand on monopoly. Figure 5.22 depicts third possibility, where the price falls while the quantity supplied increases at the new equilibrium position. As the demand curve shifts upwards from D1 to D2, the equilibrium position shifts rightwards, resulting increase in quantity supplied. However, the price falls from P1 to P2 due to this shift in the demand curve. Figure 5.22 depicts impact of shift in the market demand on monopoly. B. A shift in the costs due to changes in factor prices. Just like purely competitive market model, the effects of a change in costs are same in case of a monopoly market. 1. An increase in fixed costs. The short-run equilibrium position is not affected by an increase in the fixed cost of the monopolist firm. This is because the demand curve of the firm is given. An increase in fixed cost does not affect his short-run marginal cost. The situation is same as pure competition. In the long run also, the equilibrium of the monopolist firm will not be affected as long as the rise in fixed costs are covered by the excess profits earned by the firm. However, if the rise in fixed cost is larger, then it shifts the short-run average total cost above the market demand. The firm will not be able to cover its total cost and have to shut down. Second, an increase in the variable costs. An increase in the variable cost shifts the marginal cost curve upwards to the left. This increases the price and quantity supplied falls. This consequence is same as pure competition with only one difference. That is, the changes in price and output is lesser in monopoly than pure competition. This is because the monopolist equates his marginal cost to his marginal revenue and not to price, while a purely competitive firm equates his marginal cost to price. Figure 5.23 depicts the effect of an increase in the variable cost in both monopoly and pure competition market model. Here we assumed that the market demand and increase in variable cost is identical in both the market, shifting the marginal cost curves identically. Since the slope of the marginal revenue curve is steeper than the average revenue curve in the monopoly market, then pure competition, with marginal revenue equating to average revenue, which is same as the price. Consequently, an identical shift of the marginal cost curve in both the markets result in a larger fall in the quantity and larger rise in the prices of the firm under pure competition as compared to monopoly. Figure 5.23 demonstrate comparison between pure competition and monopoly. C. Effects of imposition of taxes. Dynamic changes also involve the imposition of taxes on a monopolist firm. In this section, we'll examine the impact of the taxes on the equilibrium of the monopolist firm. 1. Imposition of a lump sum tax. We have already seen that a monopolist can earn supernormal profit even in long run. So it is not necessary to distinguish between the short run and the long run in a monopoly market model to see the impact of imposition of a lump sum tax. A lump sum tax increases the total fixed cost of the firm and reduces the excess profit without affecting the marginal cost curve. This means that the equilibrium position will remain unaffected as long as the tax is not exceeding the excess profits earned by the firm. Second, imposition of a profits tax. The effects of imposition of profit tax on monopoly is same as lump sum taxes. The tax reduces the excess profits without affecting the equilibrium position of the firm. So, the firm will remain in business as long as the tax imposed is lower than the normal profits earned by the firm, and it is covering its total costs. Point number 3. Imposition of a specific sales tax. The effects of a specific tax are broadly the same in both the markets. An imposition of the specific tax shifts the marginal cost curve upwards, changing the equilibrium position. In the new equilibrium position, the price is higher, the output is smaller. The change in the price may be lower, equal, or higher than the specific tax, as in the case of pure competition. If the marginal cost curve is positively sloped as shown in the part 1 of the figure 5.24, the increase in the price for a monopoly will be smaller than the specific tax as compared to pure competition. Figure 5.24 depicts impact of imposition of specific sales tax on monopoly. If the marginal cost curve is horizontally sloped, the price will rise in a lesser proportion to the tax as compared to pure competition. The monopolist in this case will bear some portion of the tax. 5.4.6 Multi-plant firm. A monopolist may have multiple plants where he produces homogeneous goods. In this section, we have assumed that the monopolist has two plants with different cost structures. In this case, the monopolist has to make two decisions. Firstly, how much quantity to produce in total and at what price to sell it so as to maximize profit. Secondly, how to allocate the production of the optimal quantity between the two plants. The monopolist is aware of his market demand and the corresponding marginal revenue curve and the cost structure of the different plants he owns. The total marginal cost curve of the monopolist is computed from the horizontal summation of the marginal cost curves of the individual plants. The monopolist maximizes his profits at a point of intersection of the marginal cost and the marginal revenue curves. And marginalistic rule MC1 equals to MC2 equals to MR will be applied to allocate the production between the plants. This implies that the monopolist will allocate the production to each plant up to a level at which MC1 is equals to MC2 is equals to MR. Figure 5.25 depicts equilibrium under multi-plant monopoly. 5.4.7 Bilateral monopoly. Bilateral monopoly is a market situation in which there is a single seller and a single buyer operates. For instance, if a single mining firm extracting all the coal in a country and if only a single thermal power plant consuming the entire coal. This results in a bilateral monopoly situation. In such market conditions, demand and supply alone cannot determine the equilibrium level. It is determined based on the bargaining power, skill and other strategies of the firms. Taking forward the above example of coal mining firm and thermal power producing firm. Since both the firm wants to maximize their profits, the equilibrium of the mining firm will reach at the intersection of his marginal revenue or marginal cost curve. The mining firm would maximize his profit at OX1 level of output selling at OP1 price. Figure 5.26 depicts this equilibrium under bilateral monopoly. However, this cannot be the market equilibrium position because the mining firm is dealing with the monopsonist firm which possesses some power to affect the market price. Hence, the mining firm cannot attain the profit maximizing position. The monopsonist firm also interested in maximizing his profit by putting some terms and conditions to the agreement. Since the upward sloping marginal cost curve of the mining firm is the supply curve to the thermal power producing firm, which indicates that the monopsonist has to pay higher price as he purchases higher quantity. This is the marginal expenditure for the monopsonist and the firm will maximize its profit at a point of intersection between demand curve DD and ME curve at point E. Thus he would like to buy OX2 quantity at a price P2. We clearly see a situation of interdependency in the market where the seller is offering its product at a price P1 and the buyer is willing to pay only P2. In such situations, both the firms will start negotiations and will settle at somewhere between P1 and P2, depending on the bargaining skill and power of the firms. 5.5. Pricing strategies. Every economic activity involves pricing decisions. From house rent to consultant fee, insurance premium or salesman commission, there involves some kind of pricing decisions. Similarly, every business firm adopts a certain type of pricing strategies based on the type of products being sold, type of market structure, season in which business is being carried, quantity in which products are being sold, etc. There are various other factors that affect the pricing strategies of a firm. These are: factor number 1. Pricing objective. Whether the firm is pursuing survival, maximum profit, maximum market penetration, pricing leadership, etc. Factor number 2. Demand of the product. Whether the product is highly price sensitive, just like in the case of perfect competition, or the product is price inelastic in case of highly essential commodities. Factor number 3. Cost of production. Every firm wants to cover its production cost, some proportion of profit from sale of their products. If the firm are not able to recover its average variable cost, it shut down its business. Factor number 4. Competitors' pricing strategies. Generally seen in imperfect competition like oligopoly, where there are only few firms are operating in the market, here competitors' pricing strategies affects the firm's pricing decisions. Factor number 5. Other factors like government regulations, number of substitutes, product life cycle, method of production, brand value, etc. Based on these, the pricing strategies are broadly classified into 4 major categories. These are: category number 1, cost-based pricing strategies. As the name suggests, the major factor is the cost of production that decides the firm's pricing policy. There are various pricing strategies under cost-based pricing. 1. Full cost, that is cost plus pricing. Here the prices are set just equal to the average cost, also called break-even pricing, or prices include some share of markup, margin of profit. It is generally used for pricing public utilities. Second, incremental cost pricing. Similar to full cost pricing, but here average variable cost is used as a yardstick in place of average cost. Third, marginal cost pricing. Here marginal cost is used to determine the prices of the products. Fourth, target pricing. Similar to cost plus pricing, but here the firm fixes the markup based on certain targets that it wants to achieve. Category number 2, competition-based pricing strategies. The competitor's pricing strategy becomes the dominating factor in deciding the prices. 1. Going rate pricing. Under this pricing method, firm fixes the price that are prevailing in the industry. Or second, sealed bid pricing. Very common in cases where some kind of bidding is involved. Here the prospective companies give their bids in a sealed cover. The firms must have to stick to their pricing quotes or they may lose their contracts. Category number 3. Demand-based pricing strategies. The pricing decision is based on the demand of the products. 1. Dual pricing. As the name suggests, here two prices are set. Certain fixed price is applied to a part of the product and remaining product is sold at prevailing market price. Sugar prices in India is fixed based on dual pricing strategy. Second, price lining. Prices are fixed on the size, quality, quantity, color, flavor, etc. of a same product. For example, in case of garments, size XXL may be priced higher than the size small or medium. Third, cyclical pricing. Every firm goes through some kind of cyclical fluctuations, also called trade cycle. The prices are fixed based on the phase in which firms are in. For example, prices are higher during prosperity phase and vice versa. Category number 4. Strategy-based pricing. Different businesses adopt different strategies for their products based on the nature of the product. 1. Penetration pricing. When the firm wants to capture larger market share for their products, they go for this type of pricing strategies. Here, the prices are fixed at a lower side to cover larger customer segment, and after establishing the product creditability in the minds of the consumer, prices are increased to recover the losses. Second, skimming pricing. Just opposite to the penetrative pricing. Here the prices are fixed on the higher side in the beginning to attract elite customer segment. Firm spends huge sum on research and development of their products and wants to recover the cost as soon as possible. When they believe that the product that they are offering are innovative and have no close substitute, they go for such pricing strategy. This type of pricing is also used in case of products having high brand value. For example, Apple company fixes the prices of their products very high whenever they launch an updated version of their iPhones. 5.6. Monopolistic competition. It is a type of an imperfectly competitive market with the characteristics of both the perfect competition and monopoly. Here the firm sells identical but slightly differentiated products in terms of quality, looks, taste, flavors, brands, etc. For example, shampoo, soap, washing powder, etc. These products are close but not the perfect substitutes. Each company is therefore the sole owner of a particular brand or commodity. 5.6.1 Characteristics. 1. Large number of firms selling closely related goods. 2. Downward sloping demand curve. 3. Products are not the perfect substitute. Differentiation is created in terms of quality, color, packaging, taste, etc. 4th, firms are free to enter and exit from the market. 5th, firms have a degree of control over price. 6th, high advertisement cost. 7th, excess capacity in the long run. 5.6.2 Equilibrium of the firm under monopolistic competition. A. Short run equilibrium. In the short run, each firm under monopolistic competition act as monopolists. As new firms are not allowed to enter the market in the short run, they can earn supernormal profits or may incur losses. The equilibrium condition for a firm in the short run is at a point where short run marginal cost is equals to marginal revenue. In figure 5.27 depicts the equilibrium position E, where the optimal output and price are OQ and OP respectively, and the firm earns profit equivalent to the area BPAR. Figure 5.27 depicts short-run equilibrium for a firm under monopolistic competition. Note that in the short run, a firm may earn only normal profit if short-run marginal cost is equals to marginal revenue, which is less than average revenue, which is equals to short-run average cost, occurs, and may incur losses if short-run marginal cost, which is equals to marginal revenue, is less than average revenue and which is less than short-run average cost. Second, long-run equilibrium. A firm under monopolistic competition acts as perfectly competitive firm and earns only normal profit in the long run. This is due to the fact that in the long run, new firms are free to enter and loss-making firms are free to leave the market. Figure 5.28 depicts long-run equilibrium of a firm under monopolistic competition. The long-run equilibrium condition for a firm is at a point where long-run marginal cost cuts the marginal revenue from below. The equilibrium level of output and price are OQM and OPM. Note that the price under monopolistic competition is higher and the output is lower than the perfectly competitive price and output PP and QP respectively. 5.6.3 Price determination under monopolistic competition. Each firm under monopolistic competition have a slight control over the prices as they ignore the market price and sets its own prices. Since the products offered are not perfect substitutes, a firm may increase its prices up to a certain extent without losing its market share. Firms, in order to create a differentiation in the minds of customers for their products from the competitors, incur heavy advertisement expenditure, resulting higher cost. The prices are fixed at the point where the marginal cost curve cuts the marginal revenue curve from below, both in short run and long run. Now, let us discuss the case of Hindustan Unilever, leading the monopolistic competition in India. The Indian FMCG market is a perfect example of monopolistic competition. It is a highly crowded market with a large number of national and global players competing on margins. Hindustan Unilever Limited, being the leading company in the fast-moving consumer goods sector in the Indian market, was founded in November 1956. It is a subsidiary of Unilever, a British-Dutch company which controls 52% shareholding in HUL. Unilever is the world's largest supplier of fast-moving consumer goods across 100 countries in the world. In home and personal care products and foods and beverages, HUL 35 power brands are spread across 20 different consumer categories such as detergents, shampoos, soap, skincare, toothpaste, coffee, tea, ice creams, etc. It covers 6.3 million retail outlets, reaching the entire urban population and 250 million rural consumers. The mission statement of HUL is add vitality to life. SWOT analysis of HUL. Strength. Establish target audience in every segment: premium, mid-priced and popular. largest company in FMCG sector with global presence. Top position in soap and detergent market share. Wide range of products. Continuously innovates to respond to the competitive pressure by providing value addition to its existing products. Weakness. Few popular products appealing to the mass has been kept in premium pricing range, due to which people prefer cheaper products offered by the rival companies. Opportunities. Rising demand of premium and mid-priced products in the rural areas. Soap sector's growth is expected at 7% per annum. Threats. Rising competition from other emerging companies. ITC sudden growth in the soap market. Conclusion. HUL evolution can be seen through various phases that began in 1988 with launch of Sunlight soap, and today we see a wide range of products starting with soaps and detergents, home and personal care, and food and beverages. We see how continuous innovation and close study of consumer behavior has helped HUL exist in this competitive market as a leader in its field. Grabbing right opportunities at the right time and optimal utilization of available resources is also one of the key critical success factors for any firm to be successful. 5.7 Summary. We see different types of market structures that in real life. Some are specialized in a particular good, some offers products at uniform prices, and some have very limited number of sellers, and so on. In economics, we divide these markets into perfect competition, imperfect competition, and monopoly. In this chapter, we have analyzed each of these market structures and defined them, along with that determined their equilibrium conditions and pricing strategies. While companies in the short run in any market structure can earn supernormal profits, however, the level of competition and freedom of entry decides the long run profits. We studied that on the one hand, firms under perfect competition are price takers and earns normal profits, and on the other hand, a monopolist using its monopoly power sets its prices to earn supernormal profits even in the long run. Similarly, under monopolistic competition, firms which is closer to real world market uses different promotional tools to differentiate their products from their competitors. Thanks for listening.